What is up, everybody? This is the NerdCave News, and I am one of your hosts, Zach Dykes, joined along with once there was a tea maker who could traverse space and time. He traveled across galaxies and centuries, brewing enchanting teas for people in need. Courage to a futuristic explorer seeking clarity, his teas always carried the perfect blend of magic and comfort to every era he visited. His name was Tegan, the time traveling tea maker.
Man, say that 5 times fast.
Tegan, the
So
time traveling tea maker. Tegan, traveling
exactly.
Tegan, the time traveling tea maker. Tegan, the time traveling tea maker. Tea time 2. Yeah, that one's hard.
Yeah,
That one's hard.
that was a pretty good name. I'm not even gonna lie. It was pretty good. You know, it was a play on our sponsor. Coffee Brand Coffee, who also makes teas. But we'll get to that later. So this one we haven't done it in a while. But in ranking that name, so this is our 10th name. Of course, I don't think it is unique. It is very much a tongue twister. So the top 5, we've got Felix Brewster, Choco Narex, the Mighty Candy Dragon, Maxwell Mindreach Stone, High Goblin King Gilgamesh, and Marconius Dracon, the Great Wizard. I'm feeling this is going to be the new number 5, right below Choco Narex.
That's pretty dope. Well, Tegan, the time traveling tea maker, I'm glad that you're here. Just like the PlayStation super scaling, I can't remember what the name was at this point, but I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're here. And welcome, everybody, to the show. We hope you're doing well. Let us know how you are down in the comments below. If you're watching on the vertical stream, come and join us on the full experience. Derek, let's jump into one of my favorite segments before we get into the news, because we got a lot to discuss tonight.
Yeah.
A lot of disgusting things to discuss, but we've got a lot to discuss nonetheless. So, Derek, my question each and every week is, what you playing?
So I actually had to get, because I'm on a new schedule now for work, because I have a different time. So it's a little bit harder to get gaming in while also eating and then getting plenty of sleep to be up at, ready for work at 4 a.m. But because I'm off tomorrow, I snuck in. So I took a little nap and then I woke up and I'm like, I haven't played Hogwarts Legacy in a little bit. Let me go ahead and play a couple hours of that one. And I got that in right before the show. So that way you can't berate me.
Right before the show. Good job, Derek. I'm proud of you. Even though you're, better late than never. Some would say better late than never.
So I just did the next trial. I've done the 3rd trial of that. So I did a bunch of side quests. Got into it with Sebastian because he's we're trying to find this tapestry now, and I hinted at who's helping me, like one of the good goblins, and that's pretty much taboo with Sebastian. He went off on me. Now he's apologized and wants to find the last piece of the tapestry, but I digress. And then what was it? And then I followed Natty to Hogsmeade to find out more. No. She got kidnapped, had to go save her.
Yep.
But by the Ashwinders. So, and then what was it? Of course, the third trial, I will say, was a breath of fresh air because the trials, like the first 2, are just like, all right, do some puzzle solving, which is pretty good, but then fight like the pensive guardians. This one is like, oh, I'm going to put you in a storybook setting and show a little bit more about what happened to me. Like, it almost was like the her greatest fear, or like essentially. And then we find out more about Isadora. Pretty much, not getting too much into it, she's doping in a sense, and it's just like, interesting. So, and that obviously there's going to be ramifications to that, but I like the fact that I'm moving the story forward.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're getting to get more of the story
Mm-hmm.
Like I know you did a ton of side quests, which are
Yeah.
fun, but getting the story, I think, is the strong point of the game. It's the story and the world. You definitely feel
Right.
like you're part of the world,
Correct.
and it's kind of crazy. Best-selling game of 2023,
Mm-hmm.
and again, WB's like, let's go to live service games.
You know, let's
Let's go to live
accept Wonder
service
Woman. Wonder Woman
games.
won't be live service.
Yeah, I'm just like, you know, it's like shame on you. Shame on you, WB. Well, Derek, I started playing something,
Mm-hmm.
a little
Oh, I
Mass
saw.
Effect Legendary Edition.
Wow, look at
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Started playing it on stream Tuesday. I've been wanting to play it for quite a while.
Right.
It's been on my list for a while. I've had it downloaded on the Xbox for a little while as well. And like I've been enjoying Princess Peach, but I was ready to get something different.
Get some meaty experience.
Yeah, and it's been since the game came out since I played the first one. So going back through the first one, already did the intro section. We're on the Citadel and everything. So I'm liking it. The music's hitting. I'm just like,
Yeah.
just and the updated graphics, not everything looks great. Like the eyes in the first game are cray eyes. Like it is worse than Bethesda eyes. They're like, I'm just like,
Bethesda or Ubisoft?
Bethesda for sure. Like
Okay.
they look kind of crazy. I'm just like, what is bro looking at? And he's like, but I digress. I'm enjoying it. I can't wait to play more of it. We'll see how far we go on the streams. You know how I am with those. Just trying to have some fun, some good times and everything. But I am enjoying it.
And that was going to be my question, was like, does it hold up compared to, because I know it's one of your favorite series of all time. So
Yeah.
I know you played it on 360 days. Like, does it hold up as well as back in the day?
Again, I'm very early on, so I don't have a ton of powers yet. The story is holding up for sure. The controls a little obtuse. I will say that.
Rubber Goose.
Where you normally would reload with X on an Xbox. Bro's just throwing grenades. I'm like, what is this? And then like to take out your weapons, like the control scheme is not great. I will say that they should have definitely improved that for sure. But I think the story is going to be the solid thing. The elevators, you can actually skip the elevator rides.
Nice.
So like you can get in there, they start a little conversation and you can skip that. And then it's like, you're automatically where you need to be.
Good.
So that's nice because my gosh, back in the day, those elevator rides, you can go make a sandwich, go take a jog. You could, smoke
Make
a cigar.
a 5-course meal.
You could do it all before you ever loaded out of that elevator. So, but I'm glad to be back in the world. I like all of what old BioWare did with Mass Effect, and that's why it's still my favorite game of all time, is because of the world building and everything. I'm talking about Mass Effect 1 specifically. The gameplay kind of holds up, but it's kind of clanky. I will say that. But the story is, I've already threatened people. I punched a dude in the face.
Oh God.
He was acting crazy, he was acting wildly, and then we had to punch him in the face, Derek. We had to punch him in the face. We gave him a little bit of sauce.
Already on that Renegade
you know it, man. You know it. Because if Renegade all the way until we die, that's
Renegade for life, as Vegeta from DBZ Abridged said.
Yeah, Nate actually said that in the stream when I was playing and everything. But yeah, I'm enjoying the game. And I can't wait to play more of it. Be doing more on Tuesday. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. So
man, why don't you should just skip that and play the greatest one in the series, Andromeda. I'm joking.
We don't talk about Andromeda, bro. We do not talk about
We
Andromeda.
don't talk about Bruno.
That is not something we talk about. So just saying, we don't mention.
It's up there with that Ben Studio game, right?
I don't know. That Ben Studio game is a little bit worse because of how they all acted.
Well, babies will be babies.
They will be. They will be. So I'm enjoying it, dude, and I can't wait to play more of it. We got a lot to discuss this episode, guys, because this week in gaming, Xbox sucks.
Man.
And get your pitchforks ready because Xbox is going on trial tonight.
X is going to get it, not give it to you. X is going to get it.
Exactly. We've got Switch 2 news. We got Activision being Activision and killing games that people really want, and so much more. This episode of the Nerd Cave News is brought to you by Coffee Brand Coffee, patreon.com/nerdcave, and the Epic Game Store, where you can go and support us for totally free right now by using creator code NerdCave at checkout. Costs you nothing extra, and it helps us out so much each and every time you use that creator code. You know, there's awesome games. There's a lot of indie games that released today. You know, a lot of cool indie games that I'm just like, man, this looks like some Zach games.
Yeah. You need to finish Sea of Stars first.
I do. Little Kitty, Big City.
Okay.
It's you play as a cat and you're like in Japan and you're being mischievous.
Huh.
It's sort of like Untitled Goose Game.
Yeah.
But it's not as like stealth driven as Untitled Goose Game.
Right.
So it looks fun. Something just, to be a little cheeky.
Yeah.
A little cheeky, Welcome in, Jess. Hope y'all all are doing awesome tonight. Guys, if you haven't already, make sure to hit that like button on both the streams. We're streaming on vertical and horizontal tonight. We're trying it out, seeing how it goes. So thank y'all for being here. Hope everyone's doing awesome. So, Derek, let's get into some light news.
Yeah.
Jump into the gaming discussion this week. Rumor, Nintendo Switch 2 handheld mode said to be clocked crazy low for better battery life.
So the rumor about the Switch 2 suggests that it will have a lower clock speed in handheld mode to improve battery life. This adjustment is aimed at addressing one of the main complaints from Nintendo fans about the original Switch's battery life. The goal of the Switch 2's clock speed strategy is to give players a longer-lasting battery for gaming on the go. While unlocked, gameplay might not be as impressive as docked mode. You'll still be able to enjoy Nintendo's experience for extended periods. And I know, like I said, it's been one of the most talked about. Like, I know the Switch 1 version, terrible. Like, you can only get a couple hours in before you have to put that thing on a charger. And then, of course, when the Switch OLED came out, it was better, but not by much. It's sort of like, it's sort of like the PlayStation controllers as of late from PS4 and PS5. It's like, we'll give it, but the battery life sucks. But we're going to do a slightly improved battery controller that only lasts you like maybe an extra 30 minutes to an hour. So, but we improved it. So, but I'd like to know like how much of an improvement it'll be. Like, I obviously knowing Nintendo, they're going to probably do a weird Nintendo decision and only make it incremental. And the whole thing about the gameplay won't be as impressive as a dock mode. People who have a Switch are already used to it. I don't think that'll be anything different. Now, of course, if it does look like god awful, like what was it? Was it Sword and Shield or Scarlet and Violet that looked terrible? Had terrible resolutions.
Both of them look bad, but Scarlet and Violet is the worst offender.
Yeah. So as long as it doesn't look like that out of the dock, they'll be fine. But because people are already used to the lower resolution anyway, because they understand you can't put the same kind of resolution in a handheld mode.
Yeah, I'm wondering how much, because like with the dock, it's pretty much just a power source and like HDMI converter. I'm wondering if they're going to do anything interesting with the dock this time around. Are we going to get a chipset within it and everything? Are
Mm,
we, like, how are they going to play around with that? But to the rumor here, it being crazy low, the clock speed and,
mhm.
all of that, that's fine as long as the games are optimized for that, which if it's a
Correct.
Nintendo property, it will be. Again, unless it is
Yeah, but Pokemon games,
Pokemon, but 9 times out of 10, if it is a Nintendo game, they're optimized for both.
for
Like
sure.
Tears of the Kingdom looks amazing on the Switch, handheld
Right.
or docked. So, we're getting games that are awesome, but yes, if the battery life is better, that is going to be a good thing. You're also running into this where you do have the Steam Deck, you have the
Hmm.
Asus ROG thing out there. You're getting more handhelds that are more powerful, that do have good battery life.
Hmm.
But this is a two-edged sword here. Like, it
Yeah.
can't be so low that it is, you know, just the experience is not as good.
Correct.
But I don't think we're going to be getting. I think crazy low might be the base of what the original Nintendo Switch was.
Right.
And if that's what handheld mode is, that's fine. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want it to look like PS2 graphics.
Right.
You know.
So, and I don't think it will. But you say like, oh, there's more powerful handhelds out there with longer battery life. I'm like, but Nintendo, how about this? Nintendo has never cared about power. They only care about the experiences they put out.
Yep.
And of course, they know they know that they can always optimize their properties for the system, which is the only thing people care about. Because again, like yes, if you're a kid and that's the only thing you have, you'll get Minecraft, you'll get Stardew Valley. You'll get whatever third party games you got to because that's the only system. But people come get into most of the 9 times out of 10 get a Nintendo console for the Switch games because those are the ones that pop the most with and have the most vibrant colors. So Nintendo's not going to care about power.
Yeah.
That's Sony and Microsoft's forte. So they'll be like, as long as we give you a better battery life to give you longer experiences, we're fine.
Yeah, and to Amy's his point, I'm going to say it again. Please don't make me buy a new console for a new Animal Crossing game. I I'm curious because Animal Crossing came out 2020. It's
Mhm.
2024 now.
Ooh.
I don't think it's going to be a launch title.
No. Well,
Like,
and like, how long of a gap was it between New Leaf and New Horizons?
let's see, New
I feel
Leaf
like it was like 7 years
launch date
because I was there for the launch of New Leaf.
2012.
Okay, so 8 years. So
Yeah,
I doubt they're ready to put out the next Animal Crossing. To be fair with you, so
yeah,
they might do like another expansion. They might do something like a smaller like iteration. They might do something different because I know they've done like a board game with Animal Crossing. They've done other things, so they might do another property, like another like
mm,
genre with Animal Crossing. But I think we're still a ways off with the next Animal Crossing title.
yeah. I don't think we're launching with Animal Crossing. We normally launch a console with Mario.
Coming to the Switch 2, Mario Kart 8 Super
Oh,
Deluxe.
I don't doubt it, bro. I do not doubt that Mario 8 Infinity, like, we'll get that. I'm sure we'll get some sort of port for
Mhm.
Smash Brothers, like
Oh yeah.
all of that. I think we'll continue that trajectory on. The thing with the Switch, though, is as long as it is more powerful than the original Switch, I think
Mhm.
we'll be heading in the right direction because I know it is limiting developers. They've said
Right.
that it is. So I just want to see. It doesn't have to be as powerful as a PlayStation 5. I don't. That is not the
Mhm.
MO of you know Nintendo or
Right.
anything. I just want it to be a little bit more powerful so we can get more interesting games.
Mhm.
I still want to play Kirby, like Kirby's
Oh yeah.
the newest one. I can't remember, New Adventure or whatever.
Um, was now of course you put me on the
Forgotten
spot. I
Land,
can't remember.
Kirby and the
Forgot.
Forgotten
Okay.
Land.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, um, at least there won't be a new Zelda title doing a split launch on the this time around.
true, true. Derek,
So,
let's move on to some sad news,
Yep.
especially for me. Activision reportedly rejected a pitch from Vicarious Visions, may they rest in peace, for Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4, instead wanting them to support work on Call of Duty. Boo hiss, boo hiss.
I know. So Vicarious Visions, known for their work on Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, had plans for a sequel for 3 and 4. Activision rejected the pitch and decided to have Vicarious Visions support work on the Call of Duty franchise instead. The pitch for Pro Skater 3 and 4 was presented to Activision's head, but they declined to greenlight it. Activision wanted Vicarious Visions to focus on supplementing their larger franchises, specifically on Call of Duty. Activision's decision to turn their teams into Call of Duty support studios isn't surprising, as they have done it before. While the claims remain rumors on an official level, it's not difficult to believe that Activision prioritized their flagship franchise over the Tony Hawk series. And It's not the first time we've seen it. You know, they're not going to make Crash Bandicoot again. You know, like Raven Software is pretty much a support studio at this point.
Yep.
So it's not surprising, but it's like, you continue to scratch your head and be like, I understand. Call of Duty is the moneymaker. At the end of the day, it puts bread on the table. It brings home the bucks. At the same time, when you do a successful Crash Bandicoot remake, and Crash Bandicoot 4 was done pretty well, and then you have Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 after the whole like debacle that was Pro Skater 5 come out, and it breathed fresh life and like rejuvenate people into that franchise. And you all of a sudden are just like, thanks, guys. We appreciate you bringing back some old titles. Now we're done with these. And it's like, bro, like, why? Because, I mean, let's face it. They just crapped out Guitar Hero, that Guitar Hero Live just to be able to keep the rights for another couple of years. But they haven't done anything with that. They actually gave a crap about Tony Hawk this time around. But it's like, now they don't again. And it's like, bro, like, just what are you guys doing? Like, I guess they're learning, not to bury the lead, but I guess they're learning from old Phil Spencer, what we'll get into later with his decisions. They're just like, thanks, but no thanks. We're just gonna we're not gonna cut you, but we're just gonna fold you into Call of Duty.
Yeah, and they tried to do the same thing with Toys for Bob.
Right.
I know Tony Hawk went on record in 2022 talking about this, that they wanted to make 3 and 4. Originally, it was going to be 1 through 4, and they didn't have enough time to develop it, so they made it 1 and 2, and then they were like, okay, let's make 3 and 4, because you can see some of the elements that were in 3 and 4's, like skating and all of that were brought into the remakes, because that's where people kind of like, oh, well, this is how I remember it handling or whatever, so they like, kind of brought that in just to make it whatever.
Yeah.
So this being where we are now with Vicarious Visions, and we talked about this when they did get folded into Call of Duty development and everything, it's like, wow, you put out this game and it was great, and then you get folded in, and like you said, Xbox has learned this as well. You can put out a great game, but it doesn't mean you get to stay around.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing, like, even if they could reject the pitch and their fold-in process was like, hey, we want you to help, like work, not just be a support studio, but like be spearhead the next idea for Call of Duty. Like, that could still be okay, because they're still getting to do what they want and make a game that they want to, or not maybe that they want to do, but just make a game, like put their stamp on it. Instead, they're just like, hey, just put support. It's sort of like being demoted to tech support. And it's like, they have so much talent and they can do so much more. Same thing with Raven Software. And it's like, you're pretty much binding their hands to do what you want to, and you're pulling the puppet strings. And it's like, how is that great business sense? Like, it's great dollar sense for you. It's not great business sense.
Yeah. This is just a quick article from Forbes by Matt Perez. I'm just going to read the top line. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, the remaster of the first 2 entries in the best-selling skateboarding video game series, has reached 1 million units sold through since its release in September, making it the fastest-selling entry in the long-running franchise. So, and this is an older article, so it's not even like something that's new and fresh. That was in September 14th. 2020. So how many more did it has been sold? Because it was an amazing remake. I remember playing it on stream. It was so fun. And let's say everybody, it was a $40 game if I remember correctly.
40 or 50, one of the two.
Yeah, I'm gonna just say 40. That's $40 million, Derek.
Yeah.
You know, and I know not all of it goes to the publisher. There's PlayStation gets a cut, and or Xbox, whoever. But it's like when that game is brought to you by a smaller team, and it doesn't have as much overhead. You know, Tony Hawk is definitely getting a cut, but you're still making bank on it because I'm curious what the how much it would have cost to make that game.
Correct. So
it's just crazy to see how these companies treat their developers.
Yeah,
and that is a running story that we're going to be talking tonight. It's just crazy. I'm looking up cost of development to see if I can find it.
Do you think Vicarious will do a Toys for Bob and break off, or do you think that they're just too embedded at this point to do that?
I think they're too embedded, especially because that was a while ago when that happened. It's just one of those things. It's like I hope we get to see Vicarious Vision come back, but I don't think we will. It's just sad, and I hate it so much. Amy said, "More COD. Come on." Yeah. Unfortunately, COD makes money. I don't know why, but it still makes tons of money each and every year. And the only thing that's beaten it has been Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah. We'll see. You know, again, like since they're now under Bobby Kotick's oppressive rule, maybe they can actually put out better games. We'll see.
We'll see. But you know, something that's good, something that's that'll just warm your soul is some Coffee Brain coffee, because it's exceptional quality coffee. Like it's delicious, and they've got no gimmicks, and they don't deal with any politics. They're just making delicious coffee. Guys, they have over 4,000 verified views, and most of those are 5 out of 5. They got 12 coffee blends, 12 organic teas, 3 hot cocoa flavors, and they have cold brew and K-cups. So all of the deliciousness is there for your convenience. Amy just got a pod. She got like a reusable Keurig pod that she can put whatever in there. That was like super cheap. It was like $5.
Oh, wow.
That ain't bad at all. But the thing that I love about Coffee Brand coffee is that is hand roasted, fresh to order. So it's not sitting on the shelf. When you order it, guess what? They're going to grind them beans. They're going to roast them beans. It's going to be delicious. All that good stuff. So if you want to elevate your coffee experience right now with Coffee Brand Coffee, use code NerdCave at checkout or the link in the description to get 5% off your order today. Now let's get into topic of the show. I feel is this, because we've got several parts to all of this. It is it's $10 total for the reusable cake.
Well, including shipping, she means.
Oh, with shipping. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, nothing happened. Like this was like literally a bombshell out of nowhere. Like I'm waking up, what was it, Monday or Tuesday? And all of a sudden I see this. I'm like, whoa. And the first thing I thought of was that court case.
Yeah. So let's talk about some bad Xbox decisions. First up, Xbox is shutting down Arcane Austin, Tango Gameworks, and a few more developers.
So the closures are a result of reprioritization and reallocating resources to focus on high-impact titles and beloved franchises. Some team members from Arcane Austin will be joining other studios within Bethesda to work on future projects. Alpha Dog Games, the studio behind Mighty Doom, is also being closed, which is pretty much like a mobile handheld studio. Excuse me. Roundhouse Games will be absorbed by ZeniMax Online Studios, the team behind the Elder Scrolls Online. The closures come after a mixed reception to recent releases like Redfall and Hi-Fi Rush. Xbox Game Studio head Matt Booty sent emails to staff explaining the changes and expressing the need to prioritize certain franchises. And the decision was not a reflection of the talent and creativity of the affected teams. I highly doubt that. Like, I think Arcane Austin, like after putting out, was it Leon? No, it was Leon, I think, that did Deathloop, and then Austin did Redfall.
Yeah.
After the debacle that was Redfall, I don't think they wanted that. But Hi-Fi Rush was like definitely like it was a surprise hit. It was an indie darling from last year, and it was like the one that kicked off the year strong, in my opinion. And this was like a gut punch because like Tango Gameworks, like again, I get reprioritizing franchises because Tango Gameworks, like Evil Within 1 was pretty good. Evil Within 2 was better. And then Ghostwire Tokyo was weird, and it ended up being a decent game, but it became too monotonous from what I read. So I understand the moves, but it also seems like they're all Bethesda under Bethesda's umbrella. They're slowly closing like the branch studios.
Yeah.
And it's like Bethesda's like, man, we should have asked for more money to be bought out if we knew this was going to be the end result a few years later. Like, I wonder if they're regretting that decision to be bought. And it's like, man, so what you're telling me is you only care about Elder Scrolls and Fallout is what you're telling me. And then like the few hits here and there like Wolfenstein and Deathloop. But
yeah,
it's what was your reaction to all this when you saw this?
Absolutely crazy. Yes, Redfall came out, was not good. Prey was great because Austin put out Prey. They made it.
Okay.
It was a really good game.
And the little side adventure too they did, Prop Hunt essentially, like, was good too.
What gets me is after all of this kind of pandering and like, hey, we're here, we love developers. We're going to do what's good for developers. Whatever game they want to make, we're going to make them, going to let them do that and all of that. We're not going to force them to make games that they don't want to make. And we've gotten into this position because Sony bought Activision Blizzard for $70 billion. You
mean Xbox?
Yeah, whatever. I don't know who I said. Sony. Xbox bought Activision Blizzard for $70 million, $69 billion or whatever.
With a B.
With a B. I'm over here messing it all up because I'm getting frustrated at Xbox. And it's like, okay, we can buy these developers, but do you actually know how to
utilize
them and make them successful? Because before that, yes, we had the debacle with Redfall. Phil Spencer goes on the apology tour, we got all of this. And then it's like, how long have they known that they're going to shut down Redfall?
Correct.
Arcane.
And again, like recent memory, they put beginning of last year, they put out Hi-Fi Rush and it was a huge success. So how far did they know out in advance that it's like, hey, we appreciate you putting out your little passion project, but we're still going to have to close you.
Well, and what gets me is Hi-Fi Rush had 3 million plays.
Right.
3 million players playing Hi-Fi Rush. Now, is that, where everybody is, using Game Pass or whatever? I don't know, but it is a big player account,
Yeah.
But it just, for me, it says that we do not care about what people are doing.
Yeah, you're just giving lip service. You're trying to make it a feel-good story, and then it's like behind closed doors, you're like, yeah, we're going to have to let them go.
Yeah. I'm trying to find this tweet by Janet Garcia because I thought it was
appropriate.
Very, very good because she quote tweeted something. She tweets a lot, apparently.
Well, that's a new generation.
Yeah, I know. It's a quote tweet about Phil. Oh, here we go. Let's see if I can share this. Because I think this is important for everybody to see.
Yeah. But just to touch on it, it goes back to the first thing I thought of was the FTC hearing, that final hurdle Xbox had to clear to basically make the Activision Blizzard acquisition go through, and it's like FTC was worried about, like how they would pretty much ruin studios and like close studios and like not fully support franchises. And it's like they're proving them right. And the FTC is probably was shouting from the rooftops, was like, we told you, but y'all wouldn't listen. And again, the way he went about it was the wrong way. But it's like, you think about it, it's like maybe Jim Ryan had a point to not let the merger happen. Like, yes, he was being a spoiled child about it. But at the same time, he still tried to bring up valid points.
So Janet Garcia, she runs a podcast. She was part of Kind of Funny for a while.
Right.
She said, yeah, so many of Xbox comments are aging like milk right now. This is the danger of selling the good guy narrative. It only works when you do good things. That said, this is also why PlayStation and Nintendo don't talk to anyone anymore. They're like, nah, I'm not going to play myself. And this is a quote from Phil Spencer. He says, one thing I won't do is push against creative aspirations with our team. When a team like Rare wants to do Sea of Thieves, when a team like Obsidian wants to do Grounded, when Tango wants to do Hi-Fi, when everyone thought they were probably doing The Evil Within 3, I want to give the teams the creative platform to go push their ability, to push their aspirations.
Well, that aged real poorly. And it's like, and it is valid points, because it's like, again, obviously you make that in the moment after the acquisition, because how long ago was that tweet, or was that message he sent out?
No, this was I think this was in the episode with Kind of Funny with XCast. I think that's where this comes from.
So it was in the last, but still, it's like, she brings up a valid point. It's like, this is why you don't sell yourself as like, oh, we're the consumer friendly person, because people were ripping them. It's like, oh, the guy who wears shirts and says, oh, it's best for gamers and whatnot is basically making anti-consumer moves right now. And it's like, and it's like, or just definitely anti-business moves right now. And it doesn't make him look. And now if he goes to the table with these ideas for like Activision Studios, who just got out of a terrible abusive relationship, and now they're seeing this from the other side of the fence, it's like, are we next? Like, are people going to start jumping ship before that happens? It's like, man, he's not Bobby Kotick by any means. He's not allowing frat culture to happen. But at the same time, it's like, do we trust him? Are we sure we're going to wake up with a job tomorrow? Or, or is our vision for our next project just going to go kaput?
Yeah, and we get into this place with all of these corporations buying up more and more developers.
THQ Nordic is another prime example.
Yeah, it's like, is Xbox going to be the next Embracer Group?
Oh,
they're looking like it.
Yeah. Maybe not. Maybe it won't happen as fast, but yeah, it might be a slower bleed process. But you bring up a valid point.
The Verge has got a lot of good articles on this inside Microsoft Xbox turmoil, written by Tom Warren. But one thing that I want to point out is this one is from Ash Parrish over at The Verge. I just want to read this very beginning part.
Yeah.
Today, one day after Microsoft announced that it would shut down 4 of its game studios, Matt Booty, head of Xbox Game Studios, held a town hall to discuss the division's future goals. We need smaller games that give us prestige and awards, Booty told employees, according to internal remarks shared with The Verge. So we need games like Hi-Fi Rush, but we're going to close the
studio that made it.
Yeah.
Make it make sense.
Yeah. And another thing that came to light is both of these studios, I'm talking about Arcane Austin and Tango, they were trying to pitch new games, and we're going to get into that here in just a second. And guess what? because they didn't have a game that they were working on, they were the first ones on the chopping block.
Woof, bro.
That's what it really comes down to, because it wasn't, they say, oh, well, it wasn't performance. Well, Redfall sucked and did not do well.
Yeah.
But Hi-Fi Rush did amazing, but it's like,
Right.
we're going to treat them both the same. We're killing both of them.
Yeah. Oi! Like, it doesn't, it just, it make it, and I get it. At the end, this is why people like this is why entertainment should stay entertainment, but this is when business and dollars creep in and ruin it. Be like whether
Yep.
it's sports, whether it's movies, and now it's video games. It's like eventually the dollar will ruin everything.
Oh yeah, it's not about the art; it's about the bottom dollar.
Right.
So I'm going to pose the question to everybody in chat right now, and y'all can start answering this. And Derek, I want you to think about it as well, because I feel like once we get through all of the minutia of the Xbox news, I want us to come back to this question.
Okay.
Should Phil Spencer stay the head of Xbox, or should he leave? That's the question.
Oh.
I want you to ponder on it, because we're going to go to our next story within all of these bad decisions, because Redfall was reportedly set to receive a big offline play update this month before Arcane Austin was shut down.
Literally the 11th hour, and they're like, yeah, that's not happening, guys. Arcane Austin, the studio behind Redfall, was reportedly working on a significant offline play update for the game. This update aimed to address a major concern among players, the need for a constant internet connection to play Redfall. The closure of the studio raises concerns about the future of Redfall, as the game heavily relies on online servers. The cancellation of the update also affects the release of the Hero Pass, which would have added 2 additional playable characters to Redfall. Despite the disappointment, Bethesda has assured those who purchased the Hero Pass that they will receive the value of the upgrade. There were hopes among Arcane Austin staff that Microsoft might reboot Redfall as a single-player game following the ZeniMax Media acquisition. Man, I kind of forgot that they were doing like DLC, and most importantly, that I forgot it required an always online connection. And now I'm, the flood of memories is like, man, this was not the game that people were promised. Yep. And now that they were trying to course correct, and now that still won't happen, it's like, I won't be surprised if people start demanding refunds. Like, even though the game's a year old, they probably demand refunds. Like, man, you're not going to give the game I want after all these promises. Why should I even bother? Give me my money back.
Yeah, exactly. And that goes to something I don't know if it was in that one, but where it's like, oh, we're gonna do right by y'all, the people that bought the Hero Pass or whatever. It's like, what are you gonna do? You killed the game. The game came out like crap. It's like, how are you? The company that was working on it, developing it, is dead.
You can say they staked it. I'm sorry. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I kind of mentioned this. We're going to move on. I think we can beat a dead horse only so much tonight. Tango Gameworks pitched Hi-Fi Rush sequel before its sudden shutdown.
So Tango Gameworks, the studio behind Hi-Fi Rush, was pitching a sequel before its sudden closure. Xbox leadership felt that the overall studio system was, quote, spread too thin, and wanted to consolidate their focus. Arcane Austin, known for their work on Prey, also pitched a new single-player immersive sim. Both projects were still in the pitching phase and considered to be years away from release. The closures of Tango Gameworks and Arcane Austin were part of Xbox's cost-cutting measures, and former employees expressed their love for the studios and their hope for the future. Future gonna look dim, I'm gonna be honest. Like, especially like Hi-Fi Rush and Prey, like two of the more successful IPs that they put out in the most recent years by each of the studios, and they're like, nah, we're good. We like, and it's like, and now have they said, oh, we're gonna, like, Hi-Fi Rush just came out last year, so I figured the turnaround probably wouldn't be as quick. But Prey was 2015, or 2015, 2017, one of the two, and you got to imagine that they were almost ready to pretty much I don't know how far, like years, but if let's say for the sake of argument, they come out and be like, hey, next year we can put out this Prey sequel. Would they have closed Arcane Austin then? Like, you got to raise that question. Like, I don't know. It's just so heartbreaking to find out that, these were on the table and people like that enjoyed it. We're going to get more, and like, we're going to eat. And now all of a sudden they have to swallow their pride.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to, we were talking about Activision folding in Vicarious Visions after, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, and it's the best selling of the franchise, sold 1 million copies. That's pretty awesome. Hi-Fi Rush has 3 million players.
Yeah.
That is big. Like, if you got 3 million players on which a shadow drop game, there was no press. There was just that one day where it was like, hey, here's the trailer. It's out today. How amazing is that to be able to get 3 million people to want to actually play a game that they've never heard about until the day of it?
Correct.
That's big. But then it's like, well, I'm going to have to close your studio because you finished your game. Yeah, we're just going to
appreciate what you did, but we're going to have to relocate you.
That brings me to this question. I know a lot of people are like, we've got a lot of developers within the Xbox umbrella, and yes, they are going after Bethesda developers at the moment, but we also saw layoffs at 343. We've seen a lot of stuff going on, and Microsoft as a company has had some of the biggest layoffs ever in history.
Yep.
So I think they're cutting a lot of costs and everything, and Xbox is not making money. It really is not. It's costing a ton of money. They're making these big bets on things like Call of Duty, but we've got Hellblade 2 coming out.
Right. In like 2 weeks.
Yeah. Like
less than 10 days. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got this game. I haven't seen any press about this game.
Good point.
There's been no trailers, nothing. So Ninja Theory, I feel like if the trend continues, Ninja Theory might be on the chopping block because they're finishing up their game.
Yeah.
A lot of people have been talking about Double Fine as well because their games don't sell that great.
Yeah.
And then the third I would like to say is Rare.
Oh, good point. But I know. How about this? Sea of Thieves just got a big, invigorating boost coming to PlayStation.
Yeah, but they can play all the content that they made over the last few years.
Rare, I'm on the fence about, but Double Fine, most definitely, because Rad was just okay. Yeah. Psychonauts 2 was good, but as we've seen with Tango Gameworks, one good game in the last couple of years is not going to save you.
Yeah.
And then what else did you say?
Ninja Theory.
That, and you bring up a very valid point. I have not seen any marketing push, and like you said, it's coming out in less than 2 weeks.
Yep.
And if this was a Sony exclusive, they would have started marketing like 2 months ago. Like, you'd see it on buses, you'd see it on billboards, and then you'd start seeing the TV commercials drop. They'd be dropping trailers left and right, like developer interviews. And granted, yes, they have shown off. It has been several years for Hellblade 2, and they have done developer deep dives and these long gameplay demos. But now it's the time for you to really push it. It's like, hey, and it also raises the questions like, do they believe in this game? Like, the game is visually beautiful, but there's no doubt about it. But it's like, does the story hold up just as well as the first one? And if Microsoft doesn't think so, maybe we shouldn't push it as hard.
I don't know. It's a very strange, like, where are review codes? Where,
Good, yeah, because even, like, granted, they always say redacted all the time, but Kind of Funny would be hinting at, it's like, can't wait to go home and play Hellblade 2 or something like that, like.
Yeah, they might not say, like, I'm playing, NDA or embargo or whatever.
Like, but they would always hint, and you would think about the releases around this time, and it's like, all right, because of that, mum's the word for right now from them.
Yeah. So I feel very, It's like, what is actually going to happen with all of this? I'm kind of scared for a lot of developers over at Microsoft. And, you know, it comes down to the point. It's like, how can you make a good game if you're always in fear of losing your job?
Yep.
Tango Gameworks, we're moving to our next story. Tango Gameworks founder Shinji Mikami shares a brief reaction to studio closure.
So Mikami, the founder of Tango Gameworks and famous director of Resident Evil, shared his reaction on Twitter. In just a few words, Mikami expressed his sadness about the studio closing down. He founded the studio in 2010 and directed notable games such as The Evil Within and its sequel. The critically acclaimed game Hi-Fi Rush was the studio's latest release. Mikami announced his departure from Tango Gameworks in February of last year, which was shortly after Hi-Fi Rush, stating the desire to create smaller, unique games and make room for younger talent. So he got out. So he's not. While he is sad that his baby closed, like the studio he created is closed, he got out before and now that raises the question: is like, did he leave in February because he felt like there were rumblings that they might close it that early on, or did he just get out because he did want to make smaller games and he felt like the people under him were capable enough to continue running the studio? So knowing what we know now, it raises those questions. I think it's the latter. I think he just was like Shuhei wanting to go out and do like his own like passion projects type things. But it's still sad that, because I mean, again, like he created it and like he that was his baby. Like it maybe all the games he made weren't as successful as he wanted it to be, but still it was he put his stamp on it.
Yeah. And I feel like The Evil Within 1 and 2 did pretty well. Like it wasn't on the level of Resident Evil or anything, but it had its own like kind of niche and everything.
Right.
But Hi-Fi Rush definitely made some waves. It was a bigger game, especially because it got shadow dropped and everything.
Oh, for sure.
It's just sad though to see all of this, because you look at where all of this is going and it's like, yeah, I want to make a smaller, more interesting game because so many developers want to make something unique, but they're put into this system where they have to make the thing that sells.
Yep.
And that's what he's trying to do here. So let's move to our next one. Arcane
Leon's
Dinga Diakaba criticizes Microsoft's following the news of multiple studio closures.
So Dinga Bakaba, the head of Arcane Leon, recently expressed his criticism of Microsoft's decision to close several Bethesda-owned studios. Bakaba's comments highlight the importance of valuing artists and entertainers in the gaming industry. He urges executives to remember that video games are an entertainment and cultural industry, emphasizing the need to support and take care of the creative talents. Bakaba advises against using game developers as pawns for financial gains or making their work environments highly competitive and cutthroat. He also reminds Microsoft to stand by their teams during challenging times and make them proud, just as they do when they release successful games. He hit the nail on the head.
100%.
And this is not even his studio. Like, this is the guy who helped deliver Deathloop, one of the best games a couple years ago. And he's sitting back there watching this as his sister studio is closing down and people are affected by this. And like their visions are now down the drain. And he's like, look, man, at the end of the day, we're people. We're artists, we're creators. Like, this is an entertainment industry. Like, yes, it is a business, but we're trying to give experiences that people want to enjoy, talk about, like get away from the world, like de-stress. And you're basically letting the dollars ruin that experience for everybody involved, not just the developers, but the consumers who want to experience, who want to have that next great experience, who want to have that next sequel to a game that they love. It's just so disheartening, and this is the unfortunate, ugly side of business.
Yeah, and we've seen it Embracer Group, we've seen it with Epic, we've seen it so many times.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just not enough studios that are hiring right now, because earlier on, when all of this started last year, we saw, studios like, hey, we've got jobs. Nobody's doing that anymore because nobody's got room. And Arcane Leon's, they're making the Blade game.
Yeah.
And yes, Deathloop was very successful, got nominated for Game of the Year, was kind of locked away over on the PlayStation side of thing for a while. But now that it's on everything, I think people need to go play that game. It's really, really good. I need to go back and finish it. But I think because they are working on a Marvel game, they're protected right now. But but it's like, do we just have to have games that are based off of movies and shows?
Or just like big properties in general.
Yeah, big IPs. That's the only thing we're going to get. Like, I love Vinba. I love Cocoon.
Yeah.
I can't wait to play Harold Halbert.
How many times have you talked about Sea of Stars?
Sea of Stars. It's like if I don't get those games, it's like, yeah, I love the big games. I love God of War, but we only get those so often. And it goes back to Matt Booty. It's like, we want smaller, unique games that, are, critically acclaimed and win, awards and all of this and are recognized. It's like, but you're closing down the studio that made it.
Yeah, you're closing down your most successful, smallest game in recent memory.
Yeah. And I'm just saying, Xbox hasn't had a lot going on for a while.
Correct.
In game releases. And it's like, it's starting to pick up a little bit of steam, but now we're just closing things.
Yeah. Now you're killing momentum.
Yeah. And they're going to milk the crap out of the next few years. They're going to milk the crap out of Fallout. How well the show is done.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
I don't think we're going to see Obsidian work on anything of their own. Nothing like Pentiment will happen.
Good point, because that was also another great game.
Yeah, Outer Worlds, not going to see anything like that. We're going to get more Fallout.
They are doing a sequel to Outer Worlds.
I know, but I'm saying, like, moving forward.
Oh yeah,
it's like there's going to be so many studios making Fallout stuff.
Yeah,
it's like, Bethesda. You can make Fallout 5, but.
Man, how sad would that be if that's the only way we got a New Vegas 2 is because Obsidian was forced to do it?
I wouldn't doubt it, to be honest.
So,
yeah. Amy says, all these shutdowns, do they even want to make games anymore?
They're all about that. I mean, how about this? They're all about Game Pass, but they have to have games to put on Game Pass. So they, at some point, they need to make games.
Well, and it's like, they had to partner with EA Play to get enough games on Game Pass. They're constantly having to bring on indie developers, and they're shooting for 50 million subscribers. There's only like 34 million. And now, they spent 69 billion with a B for Activision Blizzard, and like Microsoft's over here sitting, and it's like, where's all of our money going? And it's like this black hole over here just sucking all of the money out. And it's like,
that's a good point.
We should probably plug that hole. And I think that's where some of this is coming from. We've got one more. I do want to bring up this quote by the late, great Iwata. This was during the bad times over at
Nintendo.
The Wii U was doing awful, and it was not selling well. It sold like 12 million units overall. He said, if we reduce the number of employees for better short-term financial results, employee morale will decrease. I sincerely doubt employees who fear that they may be laid off will be able to impress people around the world.
That's deep. That's powerful. It says something, and it shows how Nintendo was run back in the day. It's like, yeah, we're doing like crap, but we're gonna take pay cuts. We're not gonna lay anybody off. We're not gonna sacrifice our people's vision just to suffice financial constraints. And it's like, why doesn't and that Nintendo's a big corporation, but compared to Microsoft, they're smaller. And why do they get it, but Microsoft can't, especially with a pro developer friendly person in Phil Spencer?
Yeah. And we're going to get to the question as I posed earlier. Does Phil need to stay at Xbox or does he need to leave? I want y'all's thought as well on that. But if you look at it, it's cultural differences.
Yeah.
Like it's, honor, loyalty that is very valued over in Japan. And they try to keep people on as much as they possibly can, where the decision was Awada and a lot of people at the top took pay decreases. They cut their salaries so they could keep people on. You would never see that in America.
No.
Not from a big corporation.
No. Like you say, like honor, like they trust and all that. That like they only trust you if you can make them their next dollar. That's the only thing in America. That's how that runs.
Yeah, shareholders hold the key. Amy says, it feels like in the movie industry as well, consolidating studios and more indie productions like A24. Yeah, you've got these conglomerates. Sony is in talks to buy Paramount. It's like all of this crazy stuff going on.
And I was seeing today, like not to get off on a tangent, but it's like Disney, Hulu, and Max are all kind of getting to make a streaming bundle together because they're all losing money. And it's like, maybe if we combine our forces, we can sustain it ourselves.
Yeah. And it's like, profits are not always going to go like this. Like it exploded, but it cannot keep going like this because guess what? It costs so much to live right now.
Yeah.
When eggs are like $20 a dozen, I know that's an exaggeration.
Right.
But it's like when things are so expensive, it's like,
and not to mention, like they raise their subscription prices.
Yeah,
we'll get into that in just a minute.
Disney Plus is the flipping worst. Them and Netflix, it's like someone sneezes and like raise the prices.
Right, like Disney Plus, like if you want to buy the year membership, it's like $140, $150, and it's like oh man, that hurts so much.
Yeah, and it's like you're not putting out great content either. Let's just be honest about that. Let's be honest about that. No. Secret Invasion.
Hey, but there's X-Men 97.
That's
the only one holding it down. But
at least show does not justify it, Derek.
That's the coin.
All right, let's move into our last bit of Xbox bad news. Microsoft debating Call of Duty on Game Pass along with another price hike.
Oh, speaking of price increases, Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard has raised questions about whether COD would be included on Game Pass. Internal debates within Xbox are ongoing regarding the addition of new COD installments to the gaming subscription service. Some argue that a Game Pass release could undermine COD's revenue for Activision Blizzard and Microsoft. Microsoft is also contemplating a potential price hike for the ultimate tier of Xbox Game Pass. While nothing has been finalized, the price hike could mean that a future COD release might appear in most versions of Game Pass. COD is one of the most profitable IPs in the gaming industry, crossing the 1 billion with a B mark in sales and generating significant revenue. Microsoft's recent earnings report showed a 62% growth in Xbox's content and services, largely influenced by Activision Blizzard. And again, this is the golden goose. This is the crown this is the jewel in the crown. Is Call of Duty. That is their cash cow. We can debate quality and sustainability all you want to. The fact of the matter is it's the cash cow. It brings home the bacon, and this is their focus. Now again, we talked about it once the acquisition happened. I said that it's going to be on Game Pass rather than being exclusive. That would behoove it, and I understand like. The only thing I disagree with here is like the undermining of COD sales. Like, yes, there will be more people that get it on Game Pass. I understand that because too many but that's going to be more of the casual player because the casual player has been burned too many times for spending $60, $70 or more for the Ultimate Editions on COD, playing it for like a couple weeks to a month and then dropping off and never playing it again and regretting their purchase. And it's like, well, I'm not buying the next one because why if I'm going to do that, only do it for a month. With Game Pass, they can sustain that. The hardcore fan base of COD will still play that, will still buy this, will still invest in the money, will still buy the ultimate versions, and still, so I don't agree that it'll undermine the sales. It might drop it just a slight bit, but I think it won't undermine it completely. However, this was it. it's par for the course. Like, I don't agree with it, but with them adding, like with Game Pass when it was in its apex, them adding games, like high quality games, like day one releases, it raised the question and concern of like, when will they raise the prices? And they did raise them a little bit, but now it's like they're raising it again just to add COD. I get it because it's such a big franchise, but it's like just for one series, I don't agree with it, because it's like, yes, it is like, even if you're worried about sales, how about you test the waters, and then it's like, all right, for the next installment, we might have to do this.
Yeah, and for me, this is me. I would rather Call of Duty not go on Game Pass than Ultimate go up.
For sure.
If you want Call of Duty, go buy that thing. You know, I don't care anything about it. And I know it would be the way to get up to 50 million subs, because it's $16.99 a month.
Right.
Because I don't think they offer like a yearly bundle.
No.
So $16.99 a month.
How about this? That you can buy up to 12 months, but it's not at a discounted rate.
Yeah. So $70 versus $203.88.
Yeah.
Which one are you going to take, Derek?
I'm going to take that $70 because it might be expensive. It might be that one single expensive purchase, but it's not a recurring payment.
Yeah. So, but on Xbox's side, it makes more sense because it's easier to get people into a subscription. It's less paying up front. Oh, well, it's only $16.99. I can afford that.
Right.
And then you forget about your subscription and you're paying $16.99 and it's $203 at the end of the year. That's what they want. They can either charge $70 up front, which they'll do over on PlayStation and Nintendo, which will be a janky version of it, or they can do Game Pass and make $203 off a $70 game.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're going to do. They might even increase it, but I don't think they're going to lose money, No. I don't think they're going to lose money if they do that. So
they definitely can't lose money after closing studios.
Yeah. All of that, several hundred people's, full-time jobs,
their livelihoods, nothing
insurance,
serious.
They're all of that.
401k.
No, all of it's gone.
Yep.
Just so Call of Duty could be bought.
Roll Tide.
So the question is, everybody, and I want y'all to sound off right now. Should Phil Spencer leave Xbox because of this? Derek, you've been pondering on this. I want to know, should Phil Spencer stay or should he go? Because we got a lot of lip service and all we've got is more disappointments.
He sold us a bill of goods and, had this devious plan all along, maybe. Now, when you mean leave, do you mean just step down or do you mean leave the company?
I'm gone. Him and Bobby out there playing golf.
All right. Here's my thing. Now, if this was a recurring, now again, we're reacting in the moment. It just happened this week. I get it. So I want to take just a breath and a step back here.
Yeah.
If this was a recurring thing, especially if again we get things of Bethesda, Phil knew about let's say Bethesda was having an Activision thing and workplace culture was terrible, and Phil knew about it and allowed it, I would be more inclined for him to just say, Alvider saying goodbye, get out, never come back, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. But because this is just new and fresh, and this is the first instance, I get it. I get the PR speak, and this is the backlash. He's going to have to eat all the crow he just spat out. And I don't agree because I still think he does good business decisions in the long overall in the overall term. I think it's more pertinent because I think they want to keep. I think I would be more inclined to keep his knowledge and his business acumen in studio than just let him go free will. So I would want him more to step down as head of Xbox, and instead of just leaving the company altogether. I think he's too valuable and too knowledgeable to just let go like that. But I do want him to step down from leadership for sure.
So what about all the hundreds of employees that have development knowledge that is now lost?
Development. All right. This is going to sound cold. Development knowledge versus overall company knowledge. You know what I mean? Like you know how to make games, you know how to engineer, you know how to do level design, art design. Cool. All right. How do you run a business? Like, and that's the thing where I come off. This is like business, like running a company, running a business. At the end of the day, I'm not saying that each job is like not as valued, but there is ones that have a little bit more weight to it than others. So it doesn't excuse it, though. It doesn't excuse these hundreds of jobs that people just lost. It doesn't excuse the creative visions that are not going to happen. But I'm saying, like, I still think he's got so much up here that is valuable. Mm-hmm. So again, but that's why I'm saying step down from leadership. Now he can be a consultant. Like I wouldn't have him make the final decisions anymore. But I would say like consult and like just take his advice because he's done it for so long.
Like. For me, Phil has done a lot of good for Xbox.
Right.
And I think, we are in a lot of turmoil right now, 100%. Yeah. The push to buy and consolidate and consume more and more development teams is putting Xbox in this position. PlayStation has already closed the studios as well. I'm going to point that out. Xbox, though, they're on the precipice of greatness or utter destruction.
True.
And one of the quotes was that they're spread thin like peanut butter, that they couldn't manage all of this. And it's like, then why did you buy a whole nother like huge development group, publisher actually, and make it a development branch if you're spread thin? And it's like, oh, well, we had to get Call of Duty. And it's like, did you have to get Call of Duty?
Or did you want to just be White Knights, save all those all those turmoil developers and kick out Bobby Kotick?
And even that, it's like it took forever to get him out of there. And where I'm going with this is I think Phil has done a lot of good. Mm-hmm. He has said a lot of things and not backed it up. That's my biggest thing. He says a lot of things. So does Sarah Bond. So does Matt Booty. There's a interview when they closed down Lionhead Studios. Kind of funny was showing this where Sarah Bond and him were like, they were just distraught. We're really going to learn from this. And we're, going to make sure in the future that this doesn't happen, that we keep our studios viable.
Right.
Where are we at right now?
Yeah.
These studios were viable. Like these studios were not like Lionhead had great games for a long time, but Peter Molyneux and all of that definitely made Lionhead Studios an unviable, studio. But Tango just released an amazing game. Yeah. Did Arcane Austin not release a great game? Yeah. But they had in the past. Prey, and some of that was decision of board members at Bethesda. Do you think those board members got the boot?
No.
Nope. No. We're keeping the wrong people, and I think that's where we're getting at is we're keeping the wrong people, and eventually we're going to lose so many talented developers because of shareholder greed and just poor decision making that we're going to be set back. We're constantly losing people, and nobody can, like I talked about, nobody can hire people because there's not enough to go around right now. It is definitely a famine season, but it goes back to Microsoft's recent earnings report showed 62% growth.
Right.
I talked last week. They had 7 of the top best-selling games on PlayStation. They touted all of this. And now we're closing down studios.
Right.
That's a bunch of hogwash.
It's like the infamous Eric Andre meme where it's like the guy sitting on the armchair, he shoots him and is like, why are we not making any great games? Well, you're closing the ones that do. Like,
why'd you shoot him?
Right. Why did you do this?
it just gets on my nerves to constantly having this come back. And again, is this Phil's decision? Probably not.
Yeah.
I'm sure Phil feels really bad right now
Yeah.
that these people are losing their jobs because people above him are making these decisions.
Right.
1000%. I don't
He has
think
to answer to bosses.
yeah, he's got people above him, but it comes back down. He is the head of Xbox. The buck stops at him, and these decisions have been made because, again, it goes back to week in and week out, leaders not making good decisions for everyone under them.
Right.
And the ones that suffer are the people that are lower down the ladder.
Yep.
Just the way it is.
Corporate America.
Nate says, I don't think Phil leaving would change anything.
Also, I mean, it is a valid point because, again, to your last point there, if it was the people above him that made this final decision, if he left, then the only thing that would have hurt it would be that Phil would, like, let's just say for hypothetical, Phil fought to keep them around, or at least maybe like not close all four of those studios, and he fought to keep at least a couple alive. You're not going to have that person in your corner fighting for you if he did that. Sure. You know what I'm saying? So I do think that's the only thing that hurts, but I also agree with Dan's point. It's like him leaving wouldn't change anything because at the end of the day, if Phil got overridden on this decision by his higher ups, they would have made it whether he's there or not.
Yeah. I think going forward, this would be my suggestion. Don't say something that you can't keep.
And now and going forward, because Xbox is going to have a showcase the
9th of June.
Yeah, and it's like people are going to be heavily scrutinized. Like, does Phil go on stage and like what does he say? Like, does he give the pretty much corporate response? Does he just stay stoic? Does he not over? Does he just not even under promise and over deliver? Does he just keep his lips zipped? And he does a bunch of PR speak,
Yeah.
Like, people are going to be listening to him and heavily scrutinizing him for a while.
Well, we got the business update 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
These decisions weren't made this week.
Correct. Yeah, these were made about at least 2 months ago.
Yeah, and it's like, we are, we're getting all this speak and all of this. I don't know. I don't want someone to say something that they can't hold up to.
Correct.
And I know Phil loves games and he does all these good things, but it's like, you got to walk the walk if you're going to talk the talk.
Yep. And that's why I tell people, it's like, I'm not going to, like, if people ask, like, I've had people, like, in my past, like, where they ask me, like, a GameStop or whatever, that asked me, it's like, hey, can you make sure this is done or whatever? And it's like, and I look at the mountain of other things, or like I would realize like what kind of day it's been customer wise, and I just kind of like, I don't know if I can get to everything. Like I can get to some of it, and they kind of look at me. It's like, well, we need all of it done. It's like, just being honest, this is the layout. Like, I'm not going to promise you something and then not fall through with it. So this may not be the answer you want to hear, but this is the answer you're going to get.
Yeah.
So
don't be people pleasing.
Right.
Be honest. You don't have to be a jerk about it, but don't be people pleasing. That's all I ask, moving forward. And hopefully we can stem the tide, stem the bleeding that's going on. And I feel like it's every week we talk about the same stuff, and it being Xbox this week doesn't lessen it because they have so much money.
Right.
Could they have taken a pay cut?
For sure.
Let's move over to the PlayStation news. We're talking about more Xbox. Xbox poised to bring more games to PlayStation as insider claims everything is going.
So an insider claims that everything is going when it comes to Xbox games coming to PlayStation. This isn't the first time we've heard about Xbox games heading to PlayStation. There have been previous reports suggesting that the majority of Xbox titles will be brought to rival formats. publishers are showing interest in supporting PlayStation for their games, indicating a shift in the gaming landscape. Microsoft has expressed its commitment to bringing more games to PlayStation as they aim to meet players where they are. And to spoil one of the PlayStation quickies, today it got talked about that Hellblade 2 might be coming to PS5. Like, now, how soon? Don't know. I don't think they're going to wait at the last minute to be like, oh yeah, it's coming same day as the Xbox, because that would definitely, especially after all this, that would definitely signal a bad sign. Like, yeah, it might be better for the consumers, but for the business sense, it's like, all right, you're going to do this. You brought Hi-Fi Rush over to PlayStation. You close that studio. You're going to do the same thing with Ninja Theory, as you stated earlier. So I get it, because they're finding success, and like because they tried with smaller, not Sea of Thieves is smaller, but it's not as huge. Like, it's not talked about in the same vein as like Gears of War or Halo. So now I know Gears has been talked about maybe being a possibility now. Halo has not been, and I think that might be the one holdout, because that pretty much, when you think of Xbox, you think of Halo, at least back in the day. So I think they might want to hold that one a little bit. That might be the last one to go, but I do think I do believe this that some of the other major franchises, it would be interesting, like the Fable reboot. Will that come over? Will we get Forza? Like, interesting thing was like, will we get Forza? Because then you worry about, for PlayStations, like, do they close Polyphony? Because if you have you can argue Forza, at least Horizon, is a much more successful franchise than Gran Turismo.
Oh yeah.
So if they get that over to PlayStation, and it does gangbusters, PlayStation might look at that. It's like, why do we need Polyphony? They make, Gran Turismo 7 was good. Don't get me wrong, but the apex for that series was 5, and it's like 6 was bad. They did Sport was okay, but it's like, do we need 2 racing genres fighting it out for money? I don't think so. So,
yeah, Forza would definitely be interesting to come on there. I don't know if it will take over.
Yeah.
Just because, like, yes, I think it will do very, very well. I don't think PlayStation will cut and run that quickly. One thing that Xbox does really well is first-person shooters, or shooters in general, that PlayStation does not do well at all. Like, every PlayStation shooter that I've played sucks.
What are you talking about? The mecha is Killzone. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Killzone and Resistance play so great.
And Uncharted 1 on the PS3.
Yeah. So, like, Gears coming to PlayStation, like, all of this feels so weird to me.
Yeah.
And this kind of goes to Dan's comment that we hadn't got to until now. I think it's another argument against console exclusives. By the time it comes out for other systems, the hype of it has died down, my lord. And not as many people pick it up later. And I think that is for some games, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But we've also seen kind of the opposite with PlayStation coming to PC.
Yeah.
Like, people are ravenous over on PC for great games.
I mean, just watch next week how Ghost of Tsushima gets a super sales spike again.
Yeah. That being said, everything is going.
Yeah. I doubt. Like, what do you mean by everything? Like, everything in terms of not super significance, or everything but Halo, like, or everything, like,
yeah.
Like, again, I could see them do like the PlayStation strategy of like slow drip over time, like every couple of months or like twice a year, we have a wave of Xbox games franchises coming over to PlayStation. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. Well, this is, I'll lay it out. I think this would be the way to do it. The first big game that comes out, Starfield.
Yeah.
Starfield kind of struggling. On player count and everything. Everybody's kind of jumping over to Fallout and everything. But Starfield on PlayStation, they put out the big DLC, and they put out Starfield for PlayStation day and date.
Yeah, I was going to say, because when is the Shattered Space expansion dropping?
September.
Yeah, so I think around then, because you got to think, then there'll be an Ultimate Edition with that. So you got to think, do a bundle with it. So yeah, September would be a perfect thing to be like, hey, come out, and that way they get everything. And Xbox will be like, well, we didn't get, but everyone will cry about everything. But that would be the perfect opportunity. It's like, hey, you've been wanting this game, new expansions dropping. How about you get it all in one and on a new family of consoles?
Yeah. And May 15th is a huge update as well for the game. So I think that would be awesome. You start with Starfield and then Forza, because I think that would translate really well over into the PlayStation library. I don't know if I would do like the Super Semi one first. I would do like Horizons, where it's a little bit more
for sure, like driving.
Fun. Fun kind of stuff.
Like give a better impression of the friend, because Motorsport does well, but when Horizon comes out, it just murks it.
Yeah, and then give like Hellblade 2.
Yeah.
And this is the I don't know if I necessarily want this to happen, but this is what I'm gonna toss.
Mm-hmm.
They do an ultimate release of Gears of War, where they do all the Gears of War that have happened so far in preparation for the new release, which will be announced in summer on June the 9th.
Yep, that's been hinted at. So don't take it as your bold prediction, because it's already seeming it's going to happen.
I talked about it last week. Thank you very much. Before it was hinted at, go watch last week's show. Talked about for like 10 minutes.
I was about to say,
Yeah.
I think I saw the article before you talked about it.
Well, guess what? You still owe me Chick-fil-A because I won the last bet. You can buy it when I come up there. But what I'm saying is, like, that would be an awesome way, because we got Gears of War 1 Ultimate. We never got 2 and 3 redid. I don't know if we necessarily will get that. That's whatever. But do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You don't have to do Judgment. You don't have to.
No, man, that's the best one.
No, but put all the DLCs in there as well. Yeah, because the ROM DLC was dope. I love that DLC. Yeah. So was that on Judgment?
Oh no, I thought that was in.
I thought that was 3. Yeah, I think that's 3. So
yeah.
Yes, we are competitive. But yeah, I don't know about Halo. I don't think Halo comes.
I agree with that statement. Like again, because Infinite was such a mishandled thing after release, that might be the only one that comes. But I do agree with you. I think because Halo is pretty much so defining of Xbox, I think that's the only one that doesn't go.
It's an either or, because I feel like the identity of Xbox is Halo.
Yeah.
Like Gears of War, yes, it was the next generation, but Halo is so tied to the Xbox, it would feel like you just gave away the thing that makes, Xbox, in my opinion.
Correct.
Or it could be the first one. They do the Master Chief Collection. You know what I mean? They do the Master Chief Collection. They roll in Reach, ODST into there, 5, and then they put Infinite all into the new Master Chief Collection.
Yeah.
I'm over here like
$100, but
I'm over here spinning a yarn tonight. Derek, let's jump into some Helldivers news. Helldivers 2 players on PC will no longer be required to link their PSN, and they shout for democracy.
It'll be short-lived democracy, because they're going to do the thing like, so it's funny that PlayStation just makes this decision, because it was like a whole debacle on over the weekend, and it's been rectified. Let me get into this real quick, and I'll expound. Sony recently announced that PC players of Helldivers 2 will no longer be required to link their PSN accounts. This decision came after receiving feedback from the Helldivers 2 community, who strongly expressed their disapproval through review bombing and negative Steam reviews. The official PlayStation Twitter account acknowledged the feedback and stated that they are still learning what is best for PC players. Arrowhead, the studio behind Helldivers 2, played a crucial role in advocating for the players and expressing their support for the reversal of the requirement. Johan Pilestedt the head of Arrowhead thanked the community and PlayStation for making the decision to keep PSN account linking optional. It's important to note that the reversal was made after the Steam reviews for Helldivers 2 dropped to, quote, overwhelmingly negative. Many players have already changed their negative reviews back to positive, showing their appreciation for the studio's commitment to the player base. And while it is a feel-good story, it is also like, because the thing that came to my mind, my Rolodex brain, was Horizon Forbidden West. And like how, like, if you bought it, like, you know, the upgrade to PlayStation 5, and PlayStation was like, well, we're gonna have to charge you $10 for this. And they're like, no, you said it'd be a free upgrade. And they highlighted the excerpt and everything. And they're like, okay, going forward, we'll give you this one, but going forward, you want to upgrade from the PS4 to the PS5, it's going to cost you money because we're charging more for our games. And to not to bury the lead, but to spoil a PlayStation quickie, they're like, hey, we want to integrate this PSN account linking to do this. It's like, well, we don't want this. Take it out of Helldivers 2. We got you. But going forward, Ghost of Tsushima, at least on the Legends multiplayer side of it, it's going to be a thing going forward. So we're going to drag you kicking and screaming. We'll give you this little breadcrumb, but you're going to do it regardless. Now you're going to adhere to our will.
That is kind of the PlayStation way. Listen, just be
right.
honest.
The place that, like, if PlayStation was a meme, it'd be Kneel before Zod. Like that's.
Yeah, strongly is an understatement. Yeah, with the PC side of things, this is not a necessarily new thing. We've seen Ubisoft do this. We've seen, Rockstar. We've seen Xbox as well. Like, everybody's done this, but the way PlayStation went about this was the absolute wrong way.
Yeah.
They're definitely wanting to get PlayStation accounts created.
Oh, yeah.
But if they would have launched with it, that would have been one thing.
Right.
If they would have made it a like war bond, or you get, something extra.
Oh yeah, like how you log into the app, like on mobile devices, like log in with your account and you get bonus items in game or whatever it is, you know, like incentives.
Yeah, if they would have done it that way, I don't think it would have been a problem. But saying you have to do this to play the game that you've been playing since February 8th, my birthday, and John Williams's, and if you don't get to play the game that you bought and you've played for several months now.
Yeah,
that is not the right way to handle this. And
I know we say it about Nintendo all the time, but this is a weird Sony decision.
Yeah, and this is not Arrowhead's decision. This is somebody on the board. It's like, hey, this would be a great idea. If it would have been able to work when Helldivers 2 launched, there would have been no issues. But doing it this way, forcing it is the wrong way, and clearly it backfired and blew up in their face. And again, yes, we are going to see it in Ghost of Tsushima's online side. You don't have to have it for the single player side of things, but they're trying to tie this where they can see an uptick in PSN accounts, get people into the ecosystem so they can make more money. And the way they like, oh, this is for security. No, it's not.
No,
it's not for security at all.
If anything, that money might go to improving the stability of their servers, but it's not for security.
Trust me, PlayStation security sucks, because how many times around Christmas has the PSN gone down?
It's pretty much a yearly thing at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like, don't tell me one thing and don't give me pee and say it's lemonade. Like,
right? It's almost like a rite of passage. It's like, Merry Christmas, you got a new PlayStation. It's like, oh, I was saying, we got you these big online games. You can download Fortnite already, and it's like, can't play it because the servers are down.
Yeah, so I'm glad that they've changed course, and I love that the CEO was like supporting the players. That's one thing that these corporations don't get. It's like, you have to prioritize your audience over yourself, and that's just not a thing that people do these days. And it's sad. Derek, let's jump into the PlayStation quickies.
Okay, starting off, PS5 was the market leader in unit and dollar sales for Q1 of 2024 and March in the US. New PS5 Pro GPU details reportedly leaked. PlayStation will let you send a QR code to invite people into your games. Sony has reportedly thrown its hat into the ring alongside Apollo to buy Paramount for $26 billion with a B in straight cash. Sony confirms community game help is now available for all PS5 users. Jeff Grubb claims a PlayStation showcase is still happening this month. Mark Healy says Media Molecule's new project is, quote, more of a game than a creative tool. Helldivers 2 is still the best-selling premium game of 2024 year-to-date. Following that, Polar Patriots Warbond is out now and brings trap-laying weaponry, Arctic armor, and more. Popular Helldivers 2 community manager appears to have jumped ship following the PSN backlash. Can't blame him for that one. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth ranks 14th in lifetime dollar sales in US across all Final Fantasy games. Destiny 2's Shadowkeep, Beyond Light, and Witch Queen expansions are free until the final shape launches. Microsoft is reportedly thinking of bringing Hellblade 2 to PS5. It looks like Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition is leaving the PS Plus Extra catalog on May 21st. Sucker Punch confirms PC players won't need to link a PSN account for Ghost of Tsushima's campaign, but it will be required to play the Legends Online multiplayer mode. Finally, it's a new month. May brings new PlayStation Plus free games So what we have is Football Club 24 for the PS5 and PS4, Ghost Runner 2 for the PS5, Tunic for the PS5 and PS4, and lastly, Destiny 2 Lightfall for the PS5 and PS4.
Some good stuff in there.
Yeah.
Some good stuff in there. Ghost Runner, I'm looking forward to playing that.
Yeah.
I ain't got a chance to play it.
I'm about to say Ghost Runner and Tunic are definitely the highlights of that.
We could play some Football Club, man. Mm-hmm.
Nah, I'd rather just beat you in Madden again. Straight skunk you. Like I did for, King of the Hill, the king of the nerds.
Yeah, well, you do smell like a skunk. So, just saying.
Whatever.
Everybody should go check that out, where I absolutely whooped Derek in Halo.
I mean, yeah, but who came away with the crown at the end, sir?
Sorry, you broke up, guys. You can become a Nerd Cave member by going over to patreon.com/nerdcave. Become part of the ship, part of the crew. It helps us create awesome shows just like this one that we do each and every week on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central Time. And we've been putting out more awesome Eat Sleep Anime content each week. We just put out our Demon Slayer arc ranking. Last week we did our My Hero Academia season ranking. And right now you can still watch our Jujutsu Kaisen season 0 and season 2 review. Before anybody else gets to watch it. So go over to patreon.com/nerdcave. Support us over there. Anything helps. $5, that helps. $10, that helps. Whatever tier that fits you best. It helps us keep the lights and the mics on. Now, on to the Patreon quick hits.
First off, Todd Howard says that Fallout 5 and beyond will predominantly be set in the U.S., I think most of them were anyway. Bethesda seemingly confirms Starfield's Shattered Space expansion focuses on House Varun. Batman Arkham Shadow announced for MetaQuest 3 this year. Sad tear emoji. Call of Duty 2024 file hinting at possible reveal this month, discovered in Modern Warfare 3 update. Following that, Call of Duty data miners unearthed evidence of Fallout, Gundam, and the Crow crossovers for Modern Warfare 3 for the Season 4 event. Hasbro has ambitious post-Baldur's Gate 3 plans, which include more than $1 billion with a B in internal game development. Dragon's Dogma 2 ranks as March's best-selling game in the U.S. Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree is the game's only DLC, but a sequel isn't being ruled out. THQ Nordic's 2024 digital showcase has been set for August 2nd at 2 p.m. Central Time, and we're going to see all the Lord of the Rings games, that they have planned. Universal Orlando confirms 3 Super Nintendo World rides, including a jumping Donkey Kong coaster. Deliver Us Mars dev Kaioken Interactive lays off nearly its entire staff. Take-Two reportedly lays off the, quote, vast majority of Private Division staff. Ubisoft's free-to-play FPS X Defiant finally sets a release date of May 21st. Limited Run Games apologizes for CDR discs after fan outcry. It says it is working on a press disc solution. Forget Switch 2, Tetris and 7-Eleven are making a handheld gaming console because that's the mashup everyone asked for. Knuckles TV show enjoyed the most viewed opening weekend of any Paramount Plus original series. Resident Evil 9 release set for early 2025 with a reveal coming soon, probably at Summer Game Fest. Terminator Survivor is powered by Unreal Engine 5, and the single-player offline support has been confirmed. Rumor, the next Tomb Raider game is said to be open world and set in India. Hades 2 is now available in early access on the PC. Nintendo confirms it will announce Switch successor console, quote, within this fiscal year. So until March of 2025. Remedy announces cancellation of codename Kestrel to focus on existing franchises. EA's Andrew Wilson has played the new Battlefield and says it will be a, quote, tremendous live service. Wilson also claims its developers have a, quote, real hunger to use generative AI to speed up production. Ew, so much. EA is about to be the next studio we're going to bash on. Assassin's Creed Codename Red gameplay is set to debut at the Ubisoft Forward. And we have, I think, on June 9th or 11th, around that same time. Obsidian Entertainment job listing confirms it's working on a cross-platform RPG powered by Unreal Engine 5. Dragon Age Dreadwolf is reportedly one of 2 unannounced EA games due out by March 2025. That statement is weird because what do you mean unannounced? Like officially not announced? Because we've known about it for quite a time. Switch surpasses 140 million units sold. Following that, Nintendo announces Nintendo World Championship NES Edition for Switch with a release date of June 18th. CD Projekt Red working on free Witcher 3 mod editor to allow players to, quote, create your own experiences. Marvel Snap's May 2024 season takes a turn for the multiverse with Blink and the Exiles. Dead Island 2 has surpassed 7 million players as Dam Buster teases more to come. According to Circana analyst, video game subscription service spending on non-mobile platforms has, quote, stalled. Multiverses adds Joker to its roster, and Mark Hamill is coming back to voice the character. Sonic Rumble is a 32-player mobile platforming battle royale, a genre we haven't heard of in quite some time, coming this winter. Lastly, Marvel's What If, an immersive story, is a new interactive story coming exclusively to Apple Vision Pro.
Man, Mark Hamill coming back as the Joker.
Yeah.
Very interesting because he said he wouldn't come back.
That's also true, especially since, Kevin Conroy passed away, rest in peace.
Yeah.
So I guess, and I'm not saying anything against Mark Hamill, but it also probably is like for the right price, anyone can, be bought.
Yeah. Yeah. True. A lot of stuff happening in the gaming industry, everybody, and we hope that you have enjoyed. This is a much longer episode of the Nerd Cave News. We've been around an hour for a while on the last few episodes, but tonight was a lot of talking, and
we had some opinions to get off our chest. Some Pat Williams like opinions to get off our chest.
Yeah. All we needed is some
cognac.
And a nice big old couch. But guys, we'll be back next Tuesday to play some games. And as we bid farewell, I want you all to go over right now, everyone, and check out our Demon Slayer ranking video. Derek and I sat down yesterday, and it is very good. We break down all the arcs, and I think everyone will enjoy it. I'm putting it in the chat as we speak. The link is going in right now, so y'all go check out our Demon Slayer arc. If you do not have the chance to watch it right now, you should do it later.
Otherwise, the Nosuke will come and find you.
Yeah.
No, Haga Netsuke will come and find you because we'll tell him you broke his sword.
That's right. You don't want that. Trust me. That dude gets jacked.
Yeah.
That dude gets jacked. Guys, this has been Zach.
And Tegan, the Tea Time hold on. What? Oh God, I can't even get my own tongue twister. Tegan, the time traveling tea maker.
Y'all have a blessed week. Bye.